Paul, thanks for coming on the show tonight. It's nice to have you.
My pleasure. It's been a while.
How long has it been? A couple of months?
Yeah, I would say.
And you are excited about your birthday, evidently.
Yeah, the last 2 days have been great. A tsunami of birthday wishes.
Oh, I wish I had gotten a tsunami of birthday wishes on my birthday.
Well, it's all in a little thing called charisma, I guess. No,
Charisma.
I don't know what it is, but I mean, like from people that I only know through Facebook and their writings,
Yes.
and people I've known since childhood. And what really feels good is that, and from Amanda.
From Amanda.
And who I can't wait to see again.
Well, you may have to. I wouldn't hold your breath. I wouldn't hold your breath.
It's been a big hole. You know, it's been filled.
Yes.
Anyway,
Okay. I wouldn't hold your breath.
But anyway,
Okay.
and other people, and what I get from this is that being bold and like speaking your mind and not worrying about how people are going to take it. In the end, the net result is fantastic. Like I feel really white-pilled.
Now, this is an interesting word or expression. I've never heard this term, white.
Yeah, and actually, I'm tired of the pill expressions. The first one
never even
is
heard
red pilled, which would be kind of a wake up to reality underneath the construct that the mainstream media set up, and a lot of times it's negative. You know,
And
things are very wrong.
What does white-pilled mean?
Well, I feel that the tides are going in the right direction.
Yes.
I feel on top of them.
You're like catching a wave, if you will.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of ideas that I started having like 30 years ago or even longer have appreciated in, accuracy and value towards analyzing the present situation.
Well,
and people are appreciating that, and I'm really surprised or really happy about it.
Well, you know, I did see on Facebook a birthday wish from one of your sisters, where she extolled you.
Sounds like Margaret.
Yeah, Maggie.
Yeah.
And
both my sisters are fantastic. They're
and
both
what's the other sister's name?
Joanna.
Which one have I met?
You've met both of them, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah. You went with Mag to get a guitar.
that was Maggie.
Yeah, and Joe, I think you met more briefly.
I don't know. I don't remember meeting Joe, but I do remember meeting Maggie, and she is a smoker. And
Yeah, I think so at this point. Yeah.
you know, and she did put a Facebook message to me once, and she said, "Well, Steve, you know, you really shouldn't
That's Mag. Yeah, I know what you're.
try to appeal to people and try to promote smoking and tobacco. You should, you know, because that is not a good argument. A better argument is, well, we are aware of the risk, but it's a civil liberties issue and we should be left alone." And I responded to her, but what do you think of her argument in that regard?
Well, I think it's long been considered a vice.
Yes.
You know, it'll never be considered a health food, but it deserves the same status as other vices like caffeine and alcohol. You know, it shouldn't be a thing. And
Well,
the
you
whole
know-
case that it should be a thing is contrived. And I think my sister's with you on that. I think she might have just been in the mood to be.
Well, I thought she made some very good
critical.
comments.
Yeah, but
I
I
don't
do think
mind being
we
critical.
have to say that it's been exaggerated.
Well, I mean, the thing is, for example,
or they'll continue to exaggerate.
when Emily interviewed Frank Davis last week,
that was excellent.
it was good, and he said, well, he didn't think that the argument, for example, I know smoking is bad, but he didn't think that really
I'm not
holds
happy
water
with it either.
But isn't that the same thing as saying, well,
Not
smoking
quite.
is a vice, but
Not quite, because something can, nothing that you do does only one thing. It may be bad for some people in some ways. Some are more prone to it than others. but it also has benefits, and it has social value, and it has other values. So you can't say it's bad.
Well, I mean,
can't
if you
say-
call it a vice.
That's still not saying it's bad, and if it's either one or the other, I'd remove vice then, and maybe I'd promote what are called vices to recreational use of stimulants.
Well, certainly the American Indian didn't feel that tobacco was a vice.
Okay, but I mean, we are where we are today,
Right.
and we have to kind of catch the vibe of today and have a dialogue with that rather than a monologue where we're trying to preach. So maybe like roll with the person with what they have to say. You know, yes, it's bad for you, but are you so sure that it in net value it's bad?
See, well, then if it's not bad for you in net, then
If it helps you write, if it
prolongs
helps
your life?
if it helps you, prolongation of life is contestable as a value. You know,
most people consider a long life a good thing.
well, most people are not exceptional people, and that's another thing. Smoking is, I think, it's disproportionate among certain kinds of exceptional people, like artists, and not excluding scientists or even medical people. For instance, 10 years after the Surgeon General's report, I worked at a hospital, and you couldn't say the staff was conspicuously non-smoking.
Probably not.
At all.
Yes. No.
So that's important to bring out. And
But I mean, for example, Jan Devereaux mentioned at the city council meeting that her husband had quit smoking after about 50 years, and she was very proud of him. And I am interested, I'd love to ask her, well, in the next 5 years, does his health improve or deteriorate? And I think often, particularly for someone who has been smoking 50 years, their health will deteriorate. They'll get in weight,
could.
they'll not be able to concentrate as well, you know, their joints will begin to fail because of the weight gain.
Right.
Many things will happen.
But I think like younger people are thinking less in terms of either or. Like it's not a thing whether you're smoking. Like for instance, that you're smoking in the evening doesn't mean you're not riding a bicycle or working out in the daytime.
Right.
And a lot of people quit periodically. A lot of people should quit certain things periodically. Like I try to quit marijuana periodically. I don't want to be a slave to something.
How often do you succeed in quitting marijuana periodically?
Not often. I mean, I choose not to make the attempt.
Oh,
But
yeah.
you can't always have it, and you want to be able to generate some feelings of well-being without a drug, a substance, a stimulant.
Right.
You know, coffee, for instance, I cannot dispense with that. That's probably the one thing that I haven't been able to quit. Like even 10 days off of coffee, I'm nowhere near off of it. I mean, 10 days without a cup of coffee.
Can you go 10 days without?
No. This was like in a circumstance where I couldn't have it. Hospitalized, in other words. And
Oh, really?
On a condition that I couldn't have coffee.
That seems
So
insane
I
to
was
me.
never fully awake the whole time.
That seems insane to me that they
It was to detox from
deprive people of coffee.
Yeah, well, people that are coming off of benzodiazepines, specifically, detoxes, they would give you like a strong tranquilizer, like Librium,
Right.
and no access to caffeine of any kind.
That's interesting.
I was falling out of
Well,
my...
you know, we did have this the hearing which you spoke well at, and
Thank you.
I think it was very good. We didn't prevail. I was not optimistic. I don't know what the vote was, but they did vote to ban smoking on construction sites in Cambridge.
All right, well, can I say something?
Please.
Right there. Yeah, like we lose these skirmishes.
Right.
But
Sometimes.
when I say I'm white-pilled, because just on the way over here, I saw several attractive-looking young people smoking with no signs of guilt or furtiveness, and I see that in a lot of other areas too, where people say, psst, 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 this is what I really
But
think.
we both agree on that after 30 years of an intense war on smoking, the number of people who continue to smoke and do it unabashedly is, considering what they're up against, very high.
Which means they're not up against every non-smoker in their lives.
Presumably not.
It has to. I mean, and that's only one thing. I just think there's a tide of. I mean, obviously there's a big division in this country going on right now. Very exciting and tense.
Oh yes, it's very tense.
Times.
Yes.
Right now, skepticism toward recognized authority is very high, and it would be a good time for us to do something proactive.
Well,
That- like
it's-
the way it's been is like they set all these brush fires to keep us busy.
Right.
Like the latest, I mean, a construction site is not like known as like a major, popular, comfortable place to smoke.
Right.
Although to those guys, it's an important little daily pleasure.
not only is it a pleasure, but it probably sharpens their reaction time, helps them concentrate better.
Agreed. But the thing is, they keep us busy with all these things where the table is tilted, so we lose. Everything's set up. The very debate is framed, so it's very
Well,
hard.
we didn't lose the
for us.
park smoking ban.
No, we had an influence. But what I'm saying is, we need to do something proactive on our side,
Right, right.
addressing not the authorities but the people to get more active.
Yeah, well,
For example.
the internet, like Frank Davis and Emily last week spoke about the internet as being an avenue for that.
And Emily brought up the idea of like unconventional activism.
Well,
She touched on it.
The thing, that's something that I think I tend to believe in conventional activism. Like, for
I think-
example, I tend to believe, and I don't think they're mutually exclusive.
No,
But
no.
I tend to believe emailing your legislator, showing up at public hearings,
Absolutely.
signing petitions, organizing people.
Everything to do with
Those
local.
are very, very conventional.
Right.
And I think they're very, very effective.
The more modes of attack that you have in operation at one time, the better. And the more types of talented people you bring to it, the better.
Well, I mean, I don't think anybody would dispute that.
Well, and I just think
Even bringing untalented people is helpful.
I think at this time, if we play our cards right, we could have a big effect.
Yeah, I'm happy with the small effect.
No, I'm not. I want to be able to, before I get too old, I want there to be cafes and nightclubs
Well,
where there are
we're
people
working on it.
smoking.
We're working
Well,
on it.
I mean, I think, and if you can do something, you should.
Well, an example of that is this New Hampshire legislator who has proposed that the smoking ban in New Hampshire be rolled back.
Excellent.
Right. So how do we affect that? Well, we affect that by getting a lot of people to do very conventional things, email, call.
There is that, but I mean, I'm thinking more in terms of like staging something. Like we do set up a table, we have a petition,
Right.
and I want to make that petition and the sign as attractive as possible.
And I think
This
that's
season,
great. Yes.
I'm gonna go out of my way to be inviting to, anyone that's interested to suggest ideas to us.
Yes.
And to tell them, look, this is a place where you're safe in expressing yourself on really anything, but especially this, and we need your creative input
Right.
and
Right.
physical energy.
Well, I mean, not to be argumentative, but I mean, I thought that's what we've been doing all along.
But it's been moving, and maybe it hasn't been the right time for it yet. Like another movement that I'm not going to mention by name is like taken off in the last 2 years, and they know it, and they're very self-aware, aware of the limitations they have at present, the ways that they've improved, and they're very happy about the increasing interest in what they
Well,
have to say.
sometimes-
and I think we're due for something like
But sometimes, a political group like ours, like Cambridge Citizens for Smokers' Rights, for example, needs to kind of, rub two sticks together for a long period of time, and then there can be a conflagration,
All
right?
right. Well, all right. I'll
there
tell
might be
you
the
one thing.
times
One thing I do on Facebook is like, whenever I feel like sharing something on smoking or another issue, I will post it and write a short essay
Yeah.
about it. So I'm not like crypto about any of my opinions, and there's kind of a vibe. Like if you visit my wall, you get a picture of what I think, and that like frees people up, or maybe it antagonizes them. Some have shunned me, but like some people who have really surprised me, and how much they support our cause, for instance,
Yeah.
when it's brought up. When it's,
Right.
and others are.
Have you worked on Mickey at all?
I got invited to my celebration on Friday.
You invited her?
No, I have to tomorrow. I've been really busy.
Wait, say that again. What did you?
I got to get on the computer tomorrow and invite her to the party.
Yeah, because I forgot to include her, but that.
And is
the
that
reason
going
I
to be at the VA or at the old place?
No, it's going to be at the Somerville City Club
Excellent. Well, that's great.
at 7:30, and we may play the chip game, which is a form of gambling,
I love that
and
place.
we're all going to chip in so that you have it. We're going to give you a stake.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah,
All
but I
right,
mean that
cool.
means if you win, we expect a little payback. Especially if you win big, right?
But don't I slave for free for the cause?
Yeah, but if you win the chip game, which means some do re mi, those of us who stake you will expect some returns.
To get back to what I was saying earlier, another
Yes.
thing that I do is like if someone makes a comment on my post, someone I don't know,
Yeah,
or if there's a writer who writes something that I like, someone I don't know, I'll
Yeah.
send them a note or a friend request.
oh yeah,
And I built up friends like that. So now if I get a request from someone who has 17 mutual friends,
yeah.
I accept it. And by doing this, I've met some great people.
Well,
on
Paul,
Facebook.
you seem to
And
really
I
have
feel
developed.
buoyed by these alliances, and it's not like a strict ideology where like you flunk, you're excluded if you don't believe this or that. It's more like a lively, evolving thing.
Well, you've developed quite a skill at Facebook. I think I haven't developed that yet. So a lot of the things you're talking about.
But see, it's more like that. More than that. It's more like it addresses like a real anxiety and misery that a lot of people are feeling today.
Well, people are always feeling misery and
No,
anxious.
not like this.
I think since we were expelled from the Garden of Eden.
Right. No, there's definitely some. I mean, the fact that Trump was elected, which surprised so many people, shows that there's something that's been underdocumented.
There's something afoot in the land.
Under-recognized, yeah. And it's not. I think it might be misleading to label it right or left.
Do you think it's of biblical proportions?
I think it's of historic proportions.
Aha.
I think Fukuyama is proven wrong. History is not over.
Oh, really?
It's not the end.
You're
it's
above
not
my
the
head
end.
there.
It's not the end of his. Well, his idea is that basically we have found the limit, like the society that really everyone should live under. The produce, consume, economic man, basically.
Yeah.
And that's being contested.
Let me just
all
ask you a
over the world.
philosophical question that was kind of sticking in my craw.
Mm-hmm.
You said that corporations are amoral entities.
Why would they be moral?
Well, this is my. I would ask you to consider this. I mean, for example, the tobacco companies have produced a product that I enjoy very much.
I didn't say not benign.
No, but I would say that's a moral good. They have fought for smokers' rights. They have produced a product that's been consistent, they produced at a very reasonable price.
Well, that's why I would never call them particularly or immoral at all.
But might you
When
call
I say
them moral?
when I say amoral, it means not motivated primarily by altruism. But, when you supply a product that people want,
Yes.
and its evolution and evolving design and stuff like that is shaped by the public, then yeah, you're performing a
service.
Beneficent.
Yes.
Yes, it's a service.
Well, don't you think that's a moral good?
It's a good.
don't wanna use
I'm
the
just
word moral.
very minimal about the use of the word moral. I'm suspicious of moral appeals or pretenses to higher morality, and I think a lot of problem solving can be covered without
Well, I mean,
too much recourse.
those appeals to
morality.
higher morality are usually done by nonprofits rather than profits.
They're usually done by politicians.
Well, no, but also a lot of nonprofits are around, and they want to make the world a better place, and they have a
I
foundation.
mean, like charities.
Well, not just charities, but there are a lot of foundations that are set up to make the world a better place. I mean, I'll give you one. My question.
Well, that's not the tobacco companies.
Well, right, but if they do make the world a better place, and some of these charities may make the world a worse place, and the tobacco companies, in my opinion, make it a better place.
Agreed.
So isn't that, I would say that is a moral good, and that therefore they are not amoral, they are morally good.
I just don't like to use the word moral excessively.
Excessively.
Or
okay.
resort to sentiment. Although, actually, there's an unquantifiable thing about smoking that refuses to go away.
Tobacco's to be.
And I suppose telling the truth about tobacco, what we know in our hearts and what we see around us, that's a moral imperative.
I just want to give a plug for the smoking section with Stephen Helfer next week because Emily is going to have Chris Snowden on.
Oh, wow, that's
Via
excellent.
Transatlantic. We're going transatlantic.
Uh-huh.
And boy, it'd be great if we get someone from Russia or Japan. Go global. Of course, you're anti-global, though, right?
That doesn't mean I'm against communication.
Oh, okay.
The very first birthday wish I got today was from Mexico.
Mexico.
Yes.
Mexico.
Yes.
And that was amazing. That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
And that's from reaching out. Like if somebody writes something and I like it and I follow their posts and I like them, then there it is. A relationship is formed.
Okay, well, Cambridge Citizens for Smokers' Rights as you know, the city of Cambridge has now bought these sidewalk butlers, 60 of them.
Yeah, that's.
And David Jamian, who's very enthusiastic about this, we're trying to figure out how we can help make it work. Mm-hmm. And that's something that I think, it's easy to buy something, it's easy to start a project, but to make it actually work requires a great deal of follow through.
Yes.
Do you have any ideas about that?
That one I haven't been thinking about because I've been more thinking about the way I'm going to present my thing this spring.
This spring?
Yeah.
Well, spring is here, my friend.
I know it's here. And I've already started.
Maybe the time for
I have a
thinking,
sketchbook
maybe the
full
time for
of
thinking is
stuff.
past.
No.
Maybe the time
No,
for
the
action
warm
is
weather.
here.
The time for action is always.
Okay.
And I'm glad to see that David's really animated about this.
He is animated, yes, indeed.
And I just want to say that I think the hunger to do something meaningful as a means to overcome this rootless anxiety feeling that's so pervasive is to risk committing to some kind of action.
Nothing ventured, nothing gained, yes.
Right, and to get rid of this cool attitude of, being on the sidelines, kind of smirking.
Yeah,
I think,
right. That's something that annoys me, yeah.
and I think people that don't do it kind of feel bad about not doing it. And I can just say that having done it, it gets a lot easier, and the rewards outweigh the risks. Excuse me, the risks. I think I'm on
speaking
weight
of
pills, but the risks and the losses.
Speaking of a brush fire, there is a proposal to ban smoking in the few indoor areas of VA hospitals.
I heard
still
that,
out.
and that's disgusting.
Right. And also within 5 years to ban it on the grounds. So today, I did something very conventional. I called the House Veterans Affairs Committee and told them that I objected to this. So this is something, and their telephone number for our audience, anybody who's motivated to do it, is 202, which is Washington, D.C., 225-3527. And the bill itself is H.R. 1662, which is the number of the bill.
Okay.
So this is something that, I think is important for people to do.
Yeah, these things are necessary.
And self-empowerment, too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And it starts there. You start feeling better about yourself when you just stand up and speak.
Right.
And then when you go on to like think more and more freely, and there's no end to it, really.
Well, so I hope that when I give you this phone number that you will call them tomorrow.
Well, if you're implying that I mean, yeah.
I'm not implying anything. I'm just saying I hope you will call them.
Well, of course I will.
Well, I don't know. I had a kind of hard time getting myself to do it. Listen,
But I'm just
Paul,
saying.
we only
I'm
got
just-
6
I'm
seconds.
just saying
We
that-
only got 6 seconds. Now it's
okay.
3 seconds. Thanks for watching.
Thanks.